Mrs. Docking, my old friend. Frank Theis, who's going to be the next United States Senator from the state of Kansas. Bill Robinson, who's going to speak for this district and the country in the United States Congress. Congressman Harcott, Congressman Hugh George, Congressman Floyd Greiting, and Congressmen Davis, Maxwell and Avery. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw a list of states Mr. Nixon's headquarters put out of the states that they had sure, the states that were doubtful, and there's one or two states that maybe we had. And among the states that they had sure that they didn't have to worry about was Kansas. I don't agree with it. If you can tell me how any farmer in the state of Kansas who has complained for 8 years about Mr. Benson's policies can vote for a candidate who's putting forward the very same policies? Can you tell me how anyone who works in the plants here in Wichita or in businesses across Kansas that works at a time when we're moving ahead at the slowest rate of economic growth since the last recession of '58 can vote for Mr. Nixon and the Republican Party? Can you tell me how a small businessman who has 3 times as much chance of going bankrupt this year as he did 10, 12 years ago? Can you tell me how any citizen can vote for a political party and leadership which permits us to be second in space, in danger of being second in missiles, which permits 10 years ago, when we had twice as many scientists and engineers as they do, and now 1/2 every year, and yet a candidate and a party who run on a slogan, "We've never had it so good." A candidate and a party who refuse to permit documents paid for by the federal government relating to the taxpayers, relating to our position around the world, refuse to let the people see them because of the effect it would have on this election. And you tell me that Kansas this year can support that kind of leadership? I say it cannot. Lyndon Johnson, speaking recently in this area 2 or 3 weeks ago, said the farmers of Kansas and these states should sue Mr. Benson for non-support and cruelty. A Kansas farmer said last spring, as he was planting his wheat, "I hope I break even this year. I need the money." I believe we can do better than that. Mr. Nixon, he offers 2 proposals for the farmers of this rich state. One is we eat our way out of the surplus. That was Mr. Benson's very words. And that's an awful big meal stored away. And the second the other proposal is that we pay a support price, 90% of the market price for the last 3 years. As the market price drops year by year, so does the support price. Any farmer in the state of Kansas who will just read Mr. Nixon's program and can accept the idea that he wants an agricultural program which provides that the support price shall be tied not to a parity standard, but tied to the market price. I must say that I think the record is clear, the warnings are clear. In 1952, there may have been some excuse because they were promised 100% of parity. Mr. Nixon makes it very clear. He's promising them an agricultural program which will eat up not only the surpluses but the farmer. And then he goes to New Jersey. This administration is the only administration that ever sent a Secretary of Agriculture to campaign in the city for votes. Of course, that is, like so many of his other statements, made up in whole cloth. A farmer gets 2 cents for the amount of wheat that is in a loaf of bread that may sell for 25, 6, 7, or 8 cents in the eastern part of the United States. that farmer's income went up 10 or 15% of 2%. 2.5 cents it might cost, 3 cents. I think Mr. Nixon ought to get out his adding machines in counting our farm program, the effect of his farm program, and counting the electoral votes of Kansas, and he'll come to a different conclusion. For 24 long years, Kansas has been faithful to the Republican Party. Now we come and ask your support in this election, not merely for Kansas, not merely for the United States, but for all those who believe that the United States has a role to fulfill as the great defender of freedom. You cannot be a citizen of this country. You cannot read your papers. You cannot listen to the discussion of the issues on television and radio without knowing the truth of what I say, and that is we're not doing enough. Our power and prestige is not increasing as fast as it must. We are moving into a period of danger and hazard and opportunity. And unless this country is ready to go to work and move again, by 4 years or 8 years, the tide will go out further. This is the moment of decision. We present our views until November 8th, and then you have to decide. You have to decide what sort of a district you want, and what kind of a state you want, and what kind of a country you want, and what kind of a world you want. Don't you agree, looking at that state, that country, and that world, that the only way that we can maintain our position is by demonstrating in this country a sense of purpose, a sense of vitality, a sense of energy, a sense of conviction, showing the people around the world that our brightest days are still ahead. Our high noon in Wichita and across the world is in the days to come. I believe the next President of the United States should set before the American people the things we must do in the next decade if we are going to provide leadership and security for ourselves and the free world. Everything that you deal with in this state is tied up with our position in the world. Food we grow, the airplanes we build or do not build, the oil that we take out of the ground, the resources that we develop, the businesses that are maintained, the jobs that we provide, the security we give to our older citizens, the kind of education we give our children, the sense of motion in this state, the sense of motion in the United States. We're a free society. It is completely up to you. Mr. Khrushchev is able to move his country by force, by his own direction. We move in this country by your force and by your direction and by your willingness to commit yourselves to progress in the 1960s. And that is the issue. Governor Darkey, Frank Theis, Bill Robinson, the other congressmen, all speak for Kansas, and they all speak with vigor. And they all put before us and give to the Democratic Party and this state a sense of identification. I come today and speak on behalf of the nation. I ask you as citizens of the United States for your support, not just as the Democratic standard bearer in just another election, but as an American concerned who believes that this country needs leadership and that this country can move again. 1860, in 1860, during the election 100 years ago, when this state was torn and when the issues were much the same in a smaller sense than they are today, whether this world could exist, this country could exist, half slave and half free, Abraham Lincoln wrote to a friend, "I know there is a God, and I know he hates injustice. I see the storm coming, and his hand is in it. If he has a place and a part for me, I believe that I am ready." Now, 100 years later, we know there is a God, and we know he hates injustice, And we see the storm coming, and we see his hand in it. But if he has a place and a part for us, I believe that we are ready